Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Film Club Podcast, where every month we deep dive into different aspects of cinema, director genres, actors, or franchises. It doesn't matter, because it's always fun at the Film Club. I'm Dean.
I'm Becky.
And this week is actually a bonus week.
It is a bonus. And it's also a thank you, because you guys got us to 500 subscribers on YouTube.
You did. It took long enough, but we finally did. It's probably because we finally synced up these episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank everyone out there who subscribed to our YouTube channel. I believe we know exactly who our 500th subscriber is.
We do. Thank you, Jolene.
Thank you, Jolene. Hopefully you'll be a guest one day.
Yes.
But with that, we actually set out for this bonus episode a vote, and you got to vote on the episode we are going to be discussing today. What movie are we talking about?
We're talking about the 1990 classic, and I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about Home Alone.
That's right, Home Alone, directed by Christopher Columbus, written by John Hughes, starring Macaulay Culkin. Home Alone.
Yes.
But if we're going to talk about Home Alone, we should have something for our guests.
Let's see. Okay, we've got, the Christmas clothes, we've got the hats, the lights. I mean, we've got the video game.
We do have the video game. We
But
have a stocking.
Got the stockings, but there's one vital thing that we need that's worthy of Kevin McAllister. I think we need a cheese pizza.
You mean like this pizza?
What?
Merry Christmas, everybody. We got subscribers a cheese pizza.
Yes.
For the 500th subscriber episode.
And we're going to eat it for you guys.
Yes. Not on mic, because that'd be gross.
That would be gross. We will do that off mic. But thank you to La Crosta and Uptown Whittier. You guys make phenomenal pizzas. We love your pizzas.
Great wings.
Great wings.
But yeah, hashtag almost sponsored by a pizza joint. All right. Well, let's eat this and then we'll get into the episode.
Okay.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all, our subscribers out there, for getting us a lovely cheese pizza. It took so many years to finally get that AdSense up to afford one cheese pizza.
And like magic, it disappeared.
It disappeared. But yes, now we're actually going to talk about the movie that inspired us to buy a cheese pizza, Home Alone.
Yes.
Okay, so does this movie need an introduction?
I don't think so.
It's one of like the biggest Christmas movies of all time.
I think when I was doing my research yesterday, might be wrong, I think it was Poland. It is their biggest Christmas movie. It's a thing that they stream every year. One year they considered not doing it. People, I think like 9 or 10,000 people signed a petition so that the broadcasting studios would have to play it before Christmas.
That is fucking wild.
I know, and it's like this little, Christmas comedy that people thought, oh, it's just, it's a kid's movie that ended up, blowing up Christmas, becoming an icon. Everyone knows the lines from this movie.
It basically,
hands on the face.
It launches Macaulay Culkin into like superstardom.
Yes.
I guess Home Alone is just a movie that is almost an anomaly.
Yes.
Now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know we're saying, little Christmas movie. It cost like $18 million. It had like John Hughes doing the script, Chris Columbus, not that guy.
Not that guy.
Chris Columbus directing the movie. And it's like, that's like pedigree. Those are like guys who were friends of Spielberg and Lucas, all this other stuff. Them coming together to make this, it's like, great pedigree. You're going to make Home Alone. And it's almost like, it's going to make like $60 million. It'll be well-liked and whatever. It'll go away.
Yeah.
Ends up making $500 million.
Mm-hmm.
The movie grosses $477 million against an $18 million budget.
Was almost a Warner Brothers movie. They said it was too expensive, and they brought it over to 20th Century Fox. We're like, we got it.
Which is weird, because the movie doesn't look that expensive.
No, I mean, you have a family that lives in a nice big house. They're going to Paris for Christmas. All the other neighbors, they're all going away for Christmas. So it's like, ooh, this is an affluent area.
Yes,
But let's try to, cut, and put things in position where it looks like, wow, this movie is a lot more bigger than it really is.
Well, I'm not even talking about like the plot of the movie where, yes, everyone in this movie is the 1%. I want everyone out there to know Kevin McAllister is part of the 1%. Did you see the size of that fucking house? I swear. Also, like, I'm just gonna casually pay for my entire 16-person family on a all expenses paid vacation to France. He's the 1%. All right, you can't convince me otherwise. But I'm talking about like production
Yeah.
wise in the movie, because there's bits in the movie where I'm looking and I'm like, yeah, Macaulay Culkin's just on a skateboard and they're like sliding him at the camera. Like,
Yeah.
the movie at points looks kind of cheap, which is weird, but then it's other parts where I'm like, the God, that probably took like 2 days to figure out how to set up all those like blowtorch props
The
and all
booby
this other,
traps.
all the booby traps and things
Having
like
to do
that.
Pepper's ghost for Joe Pesci's head when it gets lit on fire.
Yes.
So it's like it's a lot of different things. Even the set where the flooded basement at the very end,
Mm-hmm.
they did that in a high school pool. Or no, yeah, I think it was a high school pool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm like,
Oh, they built
they built the set in a
inside
pool.
of a pool.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
and so it's just a lot of tips and like little tricks to get this movie to work, and it does.
Yeah. I mean, the movie does. I will say, I haven't seen this movie in like 20 years. It works completely still. I was gleefully giggling during the film. When Joe Pesci and Marv, I'm gonna forget the actor's name, which
I
sucks
mean,
because he was in
I
one of
can-
my favorite kids movies when I was younger, Bushwhacked. That's a movie that kids shouldn't watch. It's really raunchy, but
I don't think I've seen Bushwhack before.
it was such a fun movie. It's like this guy who is a con man, or he's like a sleazy schmuck who accidentally gets stuck as a Boy Scout leader, and he has to take these Boy Scouts up into the mountains or whatever. But
Mhm.
he's doing it because at the end of the trail is where the guy who set him up for like a con is living. So he's like, okay, I'll take these boys up there. It gives me a way to get past all the cops and everything like that, because I'm a Boy Scout leader. Like, they're not gonna think I'm the con schmuck. And it's like this fun, raunchy comedy. I loved it when I was a kid. I've not seen it in many, 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 many years, so it probably is awful now.
But long story
Yeah.
short, his name is Daniel Stern.
Daniel Stern, thank you. But yeah, we have Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern. They're having a great time.
Catherine O'Hara.
Catherine O'Hara's
John
in this.
Candy.
John Candy's in this for what you think is a lot of time in the movie. He
It's not.
was on set for like 24 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying a day, because he was on his feet working for 24
Mhm.
hours. But
And
yes.
a lot of his stuff was ad-libbed. John Hughes was
Yeah.
like, go for it.
Well, it's because John Hughes, or not John Hughes, it was Chris Columbus. He was the director.
No, but John Hughes was the one that...
Oh, he was the friend. Yeah, he was friends with Candy. He got him on.
And he wrote the script.
That's right. Because I knew that John Candy came on, and they were like, we need somebody for this. Candy, you're great
Because he had just done Uncle Buck
with Culkin.
With Culkin. And that's why it was kind of a thing where it's like, hey, you did a really good job in this. I guess John Candy and Catherine O'Hara were really good friends.
Doesn't surprise me.
Which I didn't know about that until I was doing my research. And it was just like, Catherine O'Hara's going to be in it. I'm friends with John Hughes. Like, yeah, I'll do it. And I won't get paid that much. I'll be cool with it, though.
I think he said he'll get paid for scale, but only
Yeah.
if it's for a day, right? Like, he'll do it for scale if it's only for like a day's
Mhm.
work, and then anything after that, you have to pay my fee.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we can do that, and
Mhm.
made him work 23 hours and 30 minutes
Mhm.
of a day, because
Yeah.
it's one day's work, and they only had to pay him scale, which
Mhm.
is like kind of fucked up. You're doing that to your boy, but it's also like, hey, he seemed like he was having a great time.
I mean, how many, things do you and your guys do? Your film bros do, where it's like, hey, can you do me a solid on this? And yeah, I think I could come in, and I can help you with that. Well.
Do I have to pay you, or like, can we just be like handshake friends? It'll be fine.
Do you want to be a producer? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Can you kick in, some food, some waters? Cool. Thanks.
But yeah,
I've gotten that same deal from Dean. You want to be a producer on my film?
you just gotta give me food and water.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but Home Alone,
Yes.
Christmas classic. It's hard to deny it, but I was interested in actually watching the movie because it was kind of like it's almost like I was seeing it for the first time. Because again, I haven't seen it in so long, and the
Yeah.
cultural osmosis of this film is permeating.
Hmm.
Like, I can probably guesstimate, like, oh, this happens in the movie, this, that,
Yeah.
oh, there's the libertarian wet dream of people breaking into your house and you booby trap the whole place. That happens, but I thought that was like the last 45 minutes in the movie. I thought that was half the movie.
Yeah.
It's 15 minutes, 20 minutes in the movie, really. It's
Yeah,
not that much.
It's, it's the current family drama in the beginning. It's Kevin believing that his wish came true for his family to disappear. It is the sadness of this wish that he has made. And then we have the booby trapping and the scheming and the chaos.
And on the other side of that, it's his mom trying to get back to Kevin and her woes and all the comedy from that. The movie is much different than I remembered it being.
That's interesting.
Because I remembered it being the Kevin McAllister show. Like, oh, as soon as his family's gone, they're gone for the whole fucking movie. And in reality, no, they're like half the film.
And I guess in test audiences, when they first did the movie, they had a lot more of the McAllisters in Paris. And showing, more or less what they were doing while his mom was trying to get back to the States to get back to Kevin. And the test audiences were like, no, we don't want to see them off in Paris. We want to see Kevin at home and the things that he's getting himself into.
Well, because there's no drama. There's no drama with them in Paris.
Well, I mean, we're also not attached to the rest of the family.
That's true.
We're attached to Kevin because he is the protagonist. He is, who we're experiencing this Home Alone with. And it's like the family, it's like, well, no, they were treating him like a piece of trash. Like, why do I want to, watch what they're doing in Paris?
You know, that's interesting because like that gets us into the beginning of the movie, right? Because the movie opens and it's this big family get together in this fucking estate, this McMansion in Chicago, and it is like, what do they say? There's like 15 people altogether.
Because they have
it's 11 kids, 4 parents, like right?
Yeah, something like that.
So a bunch of people in this house. I come from a big family, I remember, oh, we're going to go to a Christmas Eve at the family gathering or whatever. And there's a lot of people. At no point, at not a single point in my entire childhood, what did somebody suggest? Hey, Christmas trip idea. We all go to Paris.
Are you
and
sure?
make Uncle Tim pay for it. That never crossed our minds.
Are you sure? I feel like that would have been floated around. Hey.
God, no.
Uncle Dan, you got us, right?
God, no. It is a thing where, I know I'm going to harp on this, the wealth in this film is decadent. Decadently wealthy. But, again, it's the 90s, so money wouldn't work differently back then. But I was just curious, did you ever have this kind of, like, Christmas experience? A bunch of people in the house, like, a bunch of, like, wild, the aunts and uncles are coming over and everybody's kind of like mashing around and you always felt like kind of left out, because that's Kevin's situation. Is the whole family's here, I'm the youngest, and now I'm the one that's kind of pushed to the periphery.
Not really. I have a big family too, so come Christmas time it would be, my aunts and uncles would come over, their kids would come over, so it would be the cousins were together, the adults were together, and you'd kind of intermingle once the food came out or gifts were being exchanged. But other than that, no, I never really felt that loneliness. Years later, yes, but
yes,
but we're not going to talk about that.
Different episode.
Different episode. We don't want to open up those wounds.
Yes, we'll do that when we do the Ace Ventura episode.
Yes.
That's a dark episode. So dark. But yeah, the only reason I bring it up is because, like, Kevin is the runt of the litter in the family. And he's not like the youngest one, but he is the one that is old enough to understand he doesn't like what's going on, but he's too young to do anything about it. And it's also a thing where probably why the test audiences didn't want to hang out with his family in Paris. The entire family is fucking dicks to him.
Oh, yeah. And it's like, I get it, annoying little brother, but it's like, they're like actually being assholes to him.
Yes, and not just his like Uncle Frank. His Uncle Frank is like an actual like putz.
Like top of the list asshole.
Top of the list asshole. He's like a jerk. He's a putz. He has no social graces.
Did you know they wanted to have Kelsey Grammer be Uncle Frank?
Oh, that would have been so good.
Yeah, it would have. It would have gone with this, this elite brothers of, we go to Paris for Christmas. But it's like Uncle Frank's kind of like Putz is a good word. Stingy.
Okay, because Kevin's dad, who I have no idea what his name is, I'm going with dad. Kevin's dad is
Peter McAllister.
Pete. Yeah, good old Petey McAllister. He is like very wealthy, well off. You can tell he's doing something wildly successful.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen this movie 100 times. I grew up with this movie, and when I was watching it last night for today, he's talking, I think, to Joe Pesci as the cop, and he goes, "Oh, my brother just landed this job in Paris, and he, it's this big gig, and he's flying all of us out there and giving us this free vacation." So growing up, I don't know if I missed that. I just wasn't listening. I just assumed Peter's taking on all the cost.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, okay, so it's not Peter. Your brother's taking on all of this, but you have a great job because you live in this McMansion. And then who knows what your other brother's doing, Frank. Just being the family asshole. I don't know.
Like Frank comes off as like he is the brother that is doing well enough for the 6 kids, but he probably sells cars.
He's been, pinching those pennies since he was like 5.
Exactly. And that's another thing. Like, in the beginning when he is talking to the Joe Pesci cop or whatever, he mentions a third brother in Paris that we never see.
We see him briefly in the scene when Uncle Frank's walking by with the shrimp cocktail.
Is that him?
He's in the back with his wife. The wife that's, no, that's for later. And Frank's just like, fuck you. I'm going to pass out the shrimp. It's like.
That is so interesting that that's the brother that's like, oh, he's the reason we're all coming here.
Yeah.
Has no lines in the movie.
No. And that's why, it took last night for me to kind of see these things that I hadn't seen or paid attention to enough. It might have just gone with that kid mentality where it's like, oh, Kevin's not in this? Well, fuck them. I don't care what they're doing.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, also, the opening of the movie is absolute chaos.
Yes.
Kids are running around. Like, there's pizzas coming in. They're spending $120 on pizza. Joe Pesci is there dressed as a cop trying to, like, get information. Because, again, this is something, spoiler alert, I didn't realize people were this dumb. So you see all those things you didn't notice in films, where, did you know Joe Pesci is the police officer in the beginning of Home Alone? And he's also the wet bandit. And I'm like...
how did you miss that?
Again, those are on a lot of those, like, did you realize this top 10 list of stuff? Where it's banking on you haven't seen Home Alone in, like, 20 years, right? But it's also, like watching it, it's not like, oh, it's a cheeky thing where... oh, he does this and it's really subtle. He's in like a fake mustache or whatever. No, it's just fucking Joe Pesci with the gold tooth, the little ding, and then like later in the movie the ding calls back. It's like relevant in the movie, but it's very funny. I see all those top 10 lists of things you didn't notice.
That's so ridiculous.
It is. But we do get the whole like the family's being assholes to him, big craziness, and we get to meet Kevin's family. And the biggest asshole to me isn't Uncle Frank. It's his brother Buzz.
Oh, yeah.
Which...
Buzz is a total douche.
Not a fan. Not a fan of Buzz.
No, I don't think I ever will be.
But Buzz is definitely the, like...
the bully. The
bully older brother. Because every 80s movie has to have a brother. And this is 1990, so...
we're right on that cusp.
Right on that cusp. Sorry, every 80s movie needed a bully. So 1990s, it's like we got one last good bully in, and that's Buzz. We're just going to like get that right in there, and then we'll be good. And he scares Kevin by telling him about old man Marley.
Next door, who murdered his family and killed him with a shovel. And, he still kills people, but, disposes of their bodies in the salt that he throws out into the into the streets.
Turns them into mummies.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's something that you would tell your younger sibling cousins to scare them.
Yeah, you tell like an 8-year-old that.
Yeah.
It's very homey. I think that's a good way to put it. Even with all the chaos and the ridiculous, the opening of the movie feels very homey.
Yeah, it's all stuff that we've experienced. The chaos of the holidays, being stuck with family, and there's just not enough space, and people just pissing each other off.
Pissing each other off.
Fucking
hate all these people.
So many people.
And that kind of leads to Kevin's outburst. He's like, I wish I didn't have a family. Fuck all y'all.
Well,
Hope you burn in hell.
He only eats
Fuck
cheese
you, Mom.
pizza. And then Buzz is like, I know my little brother only eats cheese pizza, so I'm going to make sure I eat every piece of that cheese pizza so Kevin doesn't get anything.
Okay, is Kevin justified for being pissed that they ate his cheese pizza, or do you think his parents are fucking idiots for only ordering one plain cheese pizza?
Yes.
Yes on both counts?
Yes, on both counts.
I see.
You have that many people, you're spending over $100 on pizza, you're going to double up on some of those toppings.
That's another thing. Like, it's 12 large pizzas.
Mm-hmm.
Also, God, 12 large pizzas only cost you $120. Sweet Jesus, we
can't even pull that off at Little Caesars.
God, no. Well, no, Little Caesars you can do it. All right, Little Caesars is holding strong. 12 pizzas. Because I think they're $5 pizzas times 12, $60 with tax, $72.50.
But is it just single topping? Is it pepperoni, cheese, and then if you want to mix the toppings, it's still $5?
Cheese always comes on the pizza, and yes, I've done the math. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, so yeah, the whole pizza thing is just funny. I mean, we did the whole bit for this.
It was a delicious bit.
But it's funny that this whole anger, the snapping point is, I didn't get a cheese pizza. That is such an 8-year-old mentality of I wanted my plain cheese pizza.
Well, yeah, he's 8 years old. He's getting pushed around by people.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to get help because he's been told you need to pack on your own. He's like, I've never packed a suitcase before.
I'm 8.
Let me ask my siblings, and my siblings are all,
dicks.
Figure it out on your own. Why am I going to help you? And then it's you get down to dinner, and it's, I only eat cheese pizza, and then there's no cheese pizza. What am I going to eat? And then I have to sleep with the kid that pees the bed. He finally lost it. He was just like, you know what? I've hit my threshold. The pizza was the camel's back. It's done.
It's over.
It's done.
And he has his outburst. His mom, sends him up to his really nice attic.
Sends him up to the attic. He's got to sleep in the attic alone.
Mm-hmm. And it's...
And then we have that nasty, back and forth with him and his mom where it's, you're basically being an asshole to the family. And he's like, oh, well, I don't want you as my family anymore. And it's like, ooh, that cuts.
That cuts so deep.
I
wish you weren't my mom. Fuck you, Catherine O'Hara.
And I mean, I give it to Catherine O'Hara. I mean, she sells it in that part, just the heartbreak when he's like, I wish, I never saw you ever again. And it's like, damn, that's a rough one.
It also gets into the homage parts of this movie that I started realizing as it's going on.
Mm-hmm.
This movie has a lot of similarities with like It's a Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm.
George Bailey is like, oh, I wish I was never born.
Mm-hmm.
And this
Clarence is like, all right, I'll show you.
All right, bet.
Mm-hmm.
Bet. And then, he shows him the error of his ways. Like, this is what
Mm-hmm.
happens when you don't have your, when you weren't around, your family got worse.
Yeah.
And this is like the reverse where Kevin's like, I wish I didn't have a family.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like, I wish I was the only one born instead of my family. Then he experiences it, and then he comes to realize, man, I guess my family is kind of nice. They're going to stop the robbers from breaking into my house. But
Kevin's like, no, hold my root beer. I got this.
Exactly. But it's interesting that that's a parallel that exists between these two like foundational Christmas films.
Mm-hmm.
But Kevin makes his wish. I wish I didn't have a family, as he's sleeping in the fucking nicest attic bedroom I've ever seen.
It was pretty nice.
It's fucking nice. God damn it. The McAllisters are balling out of their goddamn minds. I'm convinced they're cheating on their taxes. But he gets his wish because in the night, a tree branch cuts the power to the house.
Yeah.
And everyone wakes up, and oh my God, the alarms didn't go off because the power got cut out.
We're late for our flight.
They have 45 minutes to get to the Chicago airport to get on to fly out to fucking Paris. Which, 45 minutes.
This is, the 90s. This is
pre-TSA.
Pre-TSA, so it's like you could just, get to your flight and not have to worry.
Oh, God. Something wild? I watched, I think it was All the President's Men, right? Not that long ago. Great movie. Dustin Hoffman, Robert Redford. Watching that, and Dustin Hoffman walks up to the air stewardess or the airplane, whatever, to buy a ticket. And he's like, hey, honey, smoking a cigarette. I'd like a ticket up to Washington, D.C., please. Can I get the 2 o'clock? And she's like, yes, sir. Would that be smoking or non-smoking? He's like, smoking. He's like ashing on the fucking counter. And she's like, do you have anything you'd like, any weapons or anything you'd like to check? And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You could check a loaded handgun on your fucking airplane, like checked luggage in the 70s. We lived in a different era.
We did.
But
and now it takes you like 12 hours just to get into the airport.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, you were there not too long ago where you were picking up from the airport and it took you like 5 hours to get home.
Oh, it was awful. It was fucking awful. Granted, LAX, I don't know about the Chicago airport. I've only been into the Chicago airport as like a layover. But yeah. 45 minutes from the suburban heart of Chicago, even rushing, you're barely making your flight. This was a different time.
During Christmas traffic, because this isn't Christmas Day that they're flying out. This is a few days before Christmas. So you got shoppers, you got people going to work, but it's just, yeah, we can do it. 8 o'clock, yeah, we can get there.
My dad actually pulled one of these when my family was going out to Wisconsin to see other family, big family. And my dad needed to take a piss so bad when he got off the plane.
Yeah.
Like he needed to pee so bad that they gets through the thing and he's like trying to push through and he's like, okay, grabs his suitcase and just starts running, yelling, Kevin, because Home Alone had come out like a month ago and everyone's like, oh yeah, gets out of his way. He was just doing it to the bathroom, but everyone's like, oh my god, he lost his kid. Oh no, let him through. But that's to go to the bathroom, not get through fucking security.
Well, all right.
But yeah, so Home Alone.
Yeah.
They're running late. Everyone's scrambling. This has happened to everybody.
Yeah.
Another nice little relatable thing. And they start doing the head count for all the kids. They fuck up. They count the neighbor kid instead of Kevin. They all get in
the neighbor kid that's asking 100 questions and going through luggage.
The most I identified with that kid. That kid was me.
I'm glad you saw that because I was watching. I'm like, that kid is Dean. That's Dean.
Oh,
I'm like, is he going to be in full denial tomorrow?
Oh, no.
I'm glad you.
Game recognized game. Game recognized game. So they miscount the kids.
Yeah.
They're already on the airplane. They're in the airport flying. And that's when Kevin wakes up. Because what does Mrs. McAllister say that every single person who has ever taken a long trip says as soon as they're too far to do anything about it? Did we forget something?
Yeah.
Did we forget something?
Forgot to turn something off. Did I leave something at home?
Did you close the garage door?
That's it. I forgot to close the garage door.
Of course. Wait, no, that's not it. We're forgetting something.
Something deeper.
Something really important. Kevin.
The youngest.
The youngest kid. Yeah, that is very, very funny.
How about they're all flying first class and the kids are all flying in coach?
Oh, yeah. No, totally fine.
And
totally
how,
cool. Fuck them kids.
And how, is it fair to the kids that we're in first class and they're flying coach? They're in coach. Those poor flight attendants that have to deal with, like, what did you say it was? 11 children?
11 kids.
10 minus Kevin.
10 minus Kevin. Well, I guess, like, 10 kids, at least 4 of them are, like, teenagers.
But still, mom and dad are up in first class. They're ordering shit. They're being obnoxious. That's why I'm like, that poor flight crew that had to deal with those 10 children.
It's also, like, probably a 10-hour flight from Chicago to Paris.
Yeah.
At least 8, right? Because I think it's 11 from California to Ireland. So it's probably...
It's a little bit shorter because it's East Coast. They're a little bit closer to Europe than we are.
Well, it's Midwest.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. But I digress.
Yes.
So the McAllisters realize they have left their youngest child home alone.
Yeah.
Hence
the title.
Yep. CPS will be coming soon to take him away.
No, I don't think so, because even the cops were like, you did what? Your son what? Oh, he should be okay.
Fucking great. So, but Kevin is now home alone, and he's having the fucking time of his life. He's getting all, like, the food. He's watching all the R-rated movies.
As you do when you get the house to yourself. Do you not, blast the music, turn around, run around, jump, eat whatever you want to eat? I know you do.
I enjoy my time. Yeah. I enjoy it. But yeah, so we get to have a fun little, like, montage rambunctiousness. Kevin's having a great time. And while that's happening, his parents are trying to land and figure this out. But what's also happening in the same neighborhood, the wet bandits appear.
Yes.
We get, Marv and fucking Harry. Marv and Harry, thank you. Marv and Harry are these I can best describe them as bumbling burglars,
Yeah.
you know, and they're breaking into all these houses because everyone's out for fucking vacation.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, oh, we break in, we steal all this nice stuff, we'll pawn it off, make money later, or whatever. But
and will flood their houses to add insult to injury.
okay. I know at the time, and I know for a long time, people are like, oh, the wet bandits, those rapscallions, oh, they're fun. They're just burglars. Look how fucking goofy they are. Oh, Stern's playing with the toys, and and Pesci's playing around. Oh, he's got the little
Kaleidoscope.
Oh, they're just scamps. When I saw that because I remember, oh, he turns the water on in the sink, and oh, he has the water running.
Yeah.
I remembered it being like, oh, he has it on, and he's just gonna run up their water bill as like a last little haha. No, he plugs the fucking drain and he flood. These are monsters.
It took you all this time to realize that?
Monsters. And for anyone out there who's ever had to deal with fucking water damage or like flooding or anything like that, these men, these horrible human beings are destroying the property. If you're gone for like 2 weeks, Christmas vacation, whatever the fuck, and you come home and your basement, your first floor is just flooded out, tear the house down. It's over. It's fucking over.
Yeah.
These guys are ruining lives. Sure, you can take my TV. Sure, you can take my Christmas presents. You fucking ruined my home.
Are you okay? Do you need a moment?
I hope they get the chair. But yeah, these absolute fucking monsters. But yeah, so they're
and they become the sticky bandits in the next movie.
They do. There was also, I think, plans to have them in the third movie, and I think at that point Pesci and Stern didn't want to do it anymore.
Well, yeah, because I mean the first two are iconic, and the third one's like, why?
The third one is, I've seen the third one before, and
I've seen it too, and it's like
fine,
but it's not Home Alone.
Okay, well here's the thing: the third one is the last one I would be able to sit through. Anything after that, I can't. Like, I'm not saying, oh, it's good. I'm like, the third one, no, I can still sit through it. It's still enough funny little rambunctious, kid fun or whatever. But anything after the third one gets real bad real quick.
Yeah.
Home Alone 6 is not a good movie.
I'm surprised you watched all the way through.
Oh, I know. I'm dedicated to the bit, unlike some people here. So, the Wet Bandits, they're robbing everything. They're going to go and rob the McAllister's house next because that's the cherry on top because it's the richest house in the neighborhood. They're like, oh, we're going to get so much out of it. And Kevin actually realizes they're going to break in and spooks them away by, turning lights on, TV on, stuff like that. They're like, oh, fuck. Okay, we'll come back later. Because the house should be empty.
It should. That was part of the whole spiel at the beginning of the movie with Harry dressed up as the cop. He's going door to door, talking to the people that live there and figuring out who's staying, who's going. And he gets the go-ahead from the McAllisters. We're going to Paris. We're not going to be here for a few weeks. Thank you for protecting our home.
Honestly, kind of a genius strategy.
Yeah.
Strong game. Let's see how it goes out from Cotton.
Just want to know how he got the uniform, though.
Oh, you can go to a fucking costume shop.
Or he stole it.
No, he is a cop. He's on the underside of the law.
Wow. There's so many layers.
You ever seen Goodfellas? They're the same guy. Tommy didn't die in Goodfellas. He went on and changed his name and moved to Chicago to rob people. Wow. But yeah, so Kevin scares him away, and he kind of gets this chutzpah to be like, you know what? I stopped them from robbing the house. I'm the man of the house now. I'm going to take care of things because I'm a big boy, god damn it.
Well, I mean, he's the last man standing.
Last man standing.
He wished his family away.
He did, and he's going to prove to himself and everyone out there that he can be a big boy. He, brushed his teeth. He cleaned himself.
He made sure that, his toothbrush was ADA approved.
Exactly. He put on some aftershave.
Put on some aftershave and realized that's a big mistake.
Okay, this might be a thing because I'm
a man.
I'm a man, and I've put on aftershave before. I know looks like it's been a while.
That's okay. I like the beard.
Thank you. But I put on aftershave before, and I'm like, Kevin, unless you're shaving, it really doesn't burn that. It doesn't burn. It like smells weird, and it's like alcohol or whatever, so it like might tingle a little, but it's not like, oh, it doesn't burn like that unless you've like cut yourself shaving or whatever. So is Kevin
he's got-
shaving off a full fucking like 5 o'clock shadow
He's got,
every morning?
delicate baby skin. Maybe that's why it hurts. You have man skin.
I suppose. This is what I get for being old.
For growing up.
Curses. But yeah, so that actually gets into more fun little rambunctious rapscallion stuff. He accidentally shoplift a toothbrush because the guy scares him. He's plays sled going down his stairs out into his front yard.
Who wouldn't want to ride a sled down the stairs in a nice house like that?
It's fun. We also get the fake party to scare off Marv and Harry. We get the filthy animal pizza because Angels with Dirty Faces, right?
A fake movie.
It's a fake movie. They made it specifically for this, which is kind of great because it looks like a real 40s noir.
It does. Even the actors in it, they look like, somebody that you would have seen in the 1940s.
Yeah, I just love the fact that they were like, this bit's too good. We're going to film it and we're going to make it look like a real movie, right? We're only going to film this like one scene, but we're going to go hard on it. I found this out. Movie gets released, and this is before the age of the internet. It comes out in 1990. People watched the movie and there were like actual adults who were like, wait, I think I know that movie, Angels with Dirty Faces. This was a thing. People scoured like Blockbusters and rental places and like libraries to try and find the movie Angels with Dirty Faces because they're like, I remember that as a kid and God, that was such a good noir movie. It was literally the fucking Mandela effect.
Yeah.
People saw it and they're like, that's it. It's because the movie is literally just like the most mashup of like Scarface and Public Enemy and all this other stuff that it's like that like 5-minute little scene is the perfect noir film. It is everything you need.
And then it gets expanded in Home Alone 2.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. When he's staying at the hotel.
Oh, that's right. Oh, the hotel that has a president in it.
Yeah.
That hotel.
That slide isn't towards the hotel, it's towards the president.
It's his hotel.
No, it's not his hotel.
Yeah, he owns that hotel.
Does he?
That's why he's in the movie. He said they can film there for free if he gets to be in the movie, and they're like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Oh.
Yeah, weird things about that guy, by the way.
Yeah, lots of weird things about that guy.
It's the hands, isn't it? It still creeps you out. The tiny hands.
No, there's just too much on the list. But
back to Home Alone.
Yeah, back to Home Alone.
Back to Home Alone, not a politics podcast.
No, not at all.
But the Wet Bandits are starting to figure out that this kid is home alone because he's going to the grocery store by himself. He's like wandering the streets. He's the only kid they've seen in this neighborhood. And they're starting to put 2 and 2 together. It's like there's only ever anyone home at night. We never see any other cars. Somebody threw a whole party, but there's no one else there. We've never like seen anyone else coming out of the house. So they finally get the chutzpah and they're going to like go and break into the house. But, Kevin sees that they're going to do it. He figures it out, because they're like bickering back and forth. I think they tried to break in and then Kevin shoots them with the
BB gun.
The BB gun. And they're like, okay, we're going to come back at fucking 9 and we're just going to blow through the house, whatever. He's a fucking 8-year-old. We're 2 grown men. We'll just beat him up and take his shit.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
It's the 90s.
It's the 90s. And Kevin's like, this is the fucking 90s. Back when you can booby trap your house because it's your goddamn property. God bless America.
If I want to put my micro machines all over the floor, I'll put my micro machines all over the floor.
I'm going to throw paint cans down my staircase and hit people in the face if they break into my home because this is America.
I'm going to climb up on a counter and set up a blowtorch. So if someone walks in, they burn their dome.
I'm going to superheat up my doorknob, so if anyone touches it, they will get 3rd-degree burns and a brand on their hands to know not to fuck with the McAllisters. God bless America, all right? I keep saying that because it is like a meme on those, like, for those libertarian people of, like, Kevin McAllister is exactly what libertarians want. I don't want to call the cops. I want to defend my land my way. But I digress. So he booby traps the house.
Yes.
It's the funnest part of the movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's also the most tragic part that delicious mac and cheese goes uneaten.
It hurts you, doesn't it?
It does, but then the big cup of milk that's sitting right next to it, I'm like, that kind of, that kind of makes me feel okay that thing wasn't consumed with mac and cheese.
It's true.
Because that just sounds like a nightmare.
It does. Well, I almost forgot. We get the little build up to this, right? Because, Kevin does do the booby trapping stuff or whatever, but before Marv and Harry come up, he's like, I gotta go and gotta make peace. I need to make my wish because being alone is hard. Being home alone is even harder.
Yeah, and we Kevin really shows a lot of growth, and we could see his character arc in this, where it's just he's this 8-year-old bratty little brother who just can't stand his family.
Mm-hmm.
And then the excitement of, I'm home alone, this is awesome, no family to deal with.
Wears off pretty thin.
Very quickly, it wears off. And then this, I wish I had my family. And how profound of me to go to church because I need to seek solace.
I like how he goes to Santa beforehand.
Well, yeah.
He has his priorities.
You go to Santa, and Kevin's like, look, I understand you're not the real Santa, but you work for him. I just need, I need somebody to talk to.
And this Santa gives him, like, every kid who sees Santa got a treat, right? And he gives him fucking Tic Tacs.
That's all he had?
Green Tic Tacs. And funny scene, because that Santa has the shittiest fucking station wagon I've ever seen in my life. And then Kevin goes to church, and that's when he bumps into Old Man Marley again. And
the station wagon that he has, or whatever car he has, it actually did break down. It wasn't just for the meme. It was supposed to, but then it actually did just break down completely in the street. And I'm like,
that's so good.
I'm like, thank you, Santa. You made the meme real.
That's all we want is, like, true to life memes.
Yes. They're more Kino.
It's so Kino. But he goes to church. Old Man Marley bumps into him there, and he's like, hey, kid. You live on my street, right? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I noticed your family's not around. Is everything okay? He's like, yeah, well, I wish my family to go away. He's like, oh, you shouldn't do that, son. I've done that before. He's like, you have? Are you magical? He's like, no, I was just kind of a mean father. Like, no, what are you talking about, magic?
Me and my kid got into a misunderstanding, and we just haven't spoke to each other in like 20 years.
That's fine. I see my granddaughter here. She's singing.
Yeah.
And it's like, it is fascinating that you have this old actor, playing Old Man Marley or whatever, and you have this young actor, Kevin McAllister, fucking Macaulay Culkin, thank you. And they're having a very, like, emotionally resonant conversation without, like, there's no, like, tears, no one's, like, going big or overacting. It's just a very mild conversation that has a lot of emotional resonance with it.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, you don't have to be, you should call your son. Well, what if he doesn't want to talk to me? Well, that doesn't matter. At least you'll know.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen? The exact same thing that's already been going on. You're not talking. Like, call him,
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting things, through the eyes of babes, we see the truth or whatever. But it's like, it's a really nice scene. I think it's probably one of the best scenes in the movie is the church sequence.
Yeah, that's up there. And I mean, that also parallels with A Christmas Carol.
Yes.
I mean, granted, he's named Marley after one of, the characters in A Christmas Carol.
There's no coincidences in film.
No. But, it's Kevin also seeing, hey, if I don't, come to these things head on, this can happen where, I don't talk to my family for the rest of my life. And I'm always going to be wondering, can we patch this up? Can we resolve this?
Mm-hmm.
So I really love that the two of them are able to come together and kind of help heal each other a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean it's also a thing going on because on the other side of this, we see his mom, Mrs. McAllister, who his real name is Mom McAllister.
Mom McAllister. Where is she on the Kate?
Kate. We're just seeing Katie. And she's doing her best to get home. She I'm gonna fly by myself. Like, you guys, the family can come later. I need to get home to Kevin as soon as possible.
I'm staying in the airport. I don't care if I have to sleep here. If I have to negotiate with every person that's flying home to the States, I'm gonna try to get on this flight.
And she goes from like Paris to Dallas to this to that, and it finally ends up in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, good old Scranton.
Good old Scranton. I think I see Dwight there.
Yeah.
And she's like, look, anything to get me to Chicago. I need to get home to see my son because her thing is she feels like an awful mom. She left her child home alone. And she wants to get back to him probably so that the last thing she ever said to her son isn't, or the last thing her son ever said to her is, I wish you weren't my mom anymore. And
Mm.
she's like, I gotta be the good mom here. And who comes in to save the day other than John Candy,
Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck, being like, hey, I'm the polka king of
The Midwest.
Sheboygan. We were big
know,
in Sheboygan.
Polka.
Polka. We had the thing in the 70s. You know who I am. Or all right, I love that bit where John Candy just wants her to recognize him. Just like I was the polka king. I was really big. Like
And she's just like,
maybe you had a poster.
I've got more, important things to worry about right now.
And he finally tells her, look, we are going to go to Wisconsin. We're going to pass through Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
You can join us in the tour van and you can come with us. And they're like, oh, thank you so much. But I love when they're traveling there.
Mm-hmm.
And she has her heart-to-heart with John Candy of being like, I'm an awful mom. I can't believe I'm my son home alone. And John Candy's like, you're not that bad. Like, you're trying to go home. Like, there's Pete over there. I don't know the last time he's seen his kids. There's John. His kids don't want to see him. There's Bill over there. I think he has kids. He might have mentioned them once,
This one doesn't remember his children's names.
Yeah, I love how John Candy has just surrounded himself with, like, the worst parents.
And then he saves, like, the best story for last. He's like, oh, parents forget their kids all the time. One time we lost somebody. It was really tragic to me and the wife. We left the kid in the funeral parlor. She's like, oh, that's terrible. Yeah, it took us a couple hours before we realized that we left him. He was in there all day with the corpse.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God.
He took like 6 weeks to get better, but he started talking again and it was fine.
Yeah, it was great.
He still has nightmares sometimes, but he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a thing where we have these emotionally resonant moments of the film because, the kid wants his family back. The mom realizes that it's like, yeah, you fucked up, but that doesn't make you an awful parent. Everyone makes mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the wet bandits who are like, friendship makes us everything. And they start their siege on the McAllister house because Kevin, when he's at church, he hears the bell ring. He's like, oh, the burglars are going to be there any minute. Because,
these bumbling burglars at 8 o'clock on this day, we're going to rob this house.
We are, if anything, but punctual.
I was like, got it. 8 o'clock, I need to be home and make sure that my house is booby-trapped.
Exactly.
Say less.
Exactly. And he gets home just in time, sets up the final trap, and it's on.
Mm-hmm.
And like we said, Kevin McAllister gets him with the heated up doorknob, the blowtorch, the paint cans, the tripwires, the micro machines. He
sets up a zip line.
He sets up the zip line when Daniel Stern is trying to go up those steps with the glue, and he's going down the steps with the ice, and he gets the nail in his foot. I laughed like an ass. God, it's so fucking funny. I was laughing, like legitimately laugh out loud during this like pratfall comedy slapstick stuff, because that slapstick is where I live for comedy. Like, I grew up on Three Stooges. This is some great shit. But yeah, a big fan of the 20 minutes of shenanigans.
Course. I mean, the whole movie together is just perfection, but it's those 20 minutes. Where it's just what's going to happen next. Even though if you're a fan of the movie, you've seen it 100 times, you're still excited to see what trap they're going to fall for next.
Because it's so much fun. It is so much fun. I understand why this movie resonated so well with kids because, this kid is the lead of the movie and he gets to make all these booby traps and has so much fun on his own. And also why it resonated with families because at the heart of it, it's a story about a kid realizing he still loves his family and a mom realizing that, she loves her kid even if she messes up sometimes. It's a very wholesome movie, and I understand why it resonated so well. And especially once we get to the end of it, right? Yeah. Because Kevin finally gets away. He goes to the neighbor house with all the water. God damn it, you wet bandits. I hope you get the fucking share. You ruined this person's house. Ruined their lives. Stole their Christmas and flooded their basement. And the bandits finally, corner them. They're going to kill this fucking kid.
And he's like, I'm going to do everything you did to me. I'm going to burn you. I'm going to do this. And it's like, oh God, Kevin.
And then who comes in? But the serial killer, Old Man Marley, with his shovel. And salt, and he beats the shit out of these two, just nails them with this big old snow shovel.
And he's like, all right, Let's take you home.
Let's go home, young boy. Oh. And the cops show up. They arrest the wet bandits. And the cops are like, thanks for leaving the water on at all these houses so we knew every house you robbed. And they're like, oh, son of a bitch.
Marv's like, yes, they know us.
We're going to be famous, Harvey. We're going to be famous.
Harry,
we're going to be famous, Harry. Shut the fuck up, Marv. We're going to go to jail for so goddamn long. Give us the chair. But they are arrested, and Kevin goes to sleep on Christmas Eve. And
we didn't even talk about one of the sad parts is where, he cuts down his own little Christmas tree in the backyard, decorates it.
Yeah.
Decorates the house the way that, his mom would have decorated it. Leaves, milk and cookies for Santa, carrots for the reindeer.
He does the whole 9 yards.
Because Macaulay Culkin is such a great actor, and because he's such an old spirit, he feels a lot older than he is. So it's like when you see those parts, it's like, no, he's still a little boy. And it's heartbreaking when he comes down the stairs Christmas morning and it's like no one's eaten the cookies or drank the milk. There's nobody there.
Yes, because like that's the thing where the whole movie is predicated on Macaulay Culkin's performance, right?
Yeah.
And this was a thing where kid actors were so fucking shoddy back in the day. Like, you were lucky if you can find, like, a good child actor. Like, really lucky.
And that's why Chris Columbus had such a problem with John Hughes wanting Macaulay Culkin, because they had just worked together on Uncle Buck. Mm-hmm. So he was like, I feel like you're kind of being biased because you just worked with him. He's like, we'll keep him in mind, but we're going to audition. I don't know how many children they auditioned for this, like probably over 200. And Chris Columbus was like, no, you're right. Macaulay Culkin is the one that can pull this off.
I saw an interview with Macaulay Culkin as an adult now. Mm-hmm. He might have been on like a Joe Rogan episode or something like that. And he talked about like being a child actor of that era. And, it was like, so the biggest thing of being an actor or a child actor is, could you memorize your lines? Mm-hmm. Because, the reality is, if you're 8 or 9 or whatever, making a movie takes a long fucking time. Yeah. There's the last thing you want, like as an actor, as a thespian, no matter who you are, your job at the baseline, at the fucking bottom of the barrel, your job is to know your lines. Yeah. Because no one wants you to forget your lines, because if you have to stop, you have to restart the whole thing. You have to, maybe there's a whole setup you have to go through. If you screw up during a thing, you never want to be the guy that forgets your lines. Michael Biehn is an actor who said, like, his one job at the end of the day was to know his shit, because he never wanted to be the guy to hold up somebody from going home early to see their kids, right? So Macaulay Culkin's thing was, the biggest power he had as a child actor was he was one of the few actors who could memorize a whole script on his own. Yeah. So that was a big leap for it. And the other thing is, he's really good at playing kind of a wise ass. As a kid, because Kevin is kind of a wise ass.
Yeah, I mean, he in no stretch is he, this innocent little boy where, wow, his family's being assholes. Like, no, he's handing it back to them. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think, like, does he call his mom a bimbo or Dumbo? He calls her something.
He calls her something where it's like, as a kid, you would think that was like a raunchy insult, but as an adult, you're like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Like, watching that, I was like, man, if I said that to my mom, I would not be here today. I would have been, in the ground. I'm like, there's no way I would have gotten away with talking to my mom like that.
He calls the wet bandits horses' asses.
Well, I mean, you could give him that because,
yeah,
they're trying to break into his house.
One is just a thing where it's like, that's as a kid's movie, and he's just like, hey, horse ass, get over here. Yeah. Like, it's kind of funny and interesting, but I think the thing of Macaulay Culkin as an actor that works so well, and probably why he was so popular and successful, is because, one, he as a child actor could memorize the whole script. That's just like a technicality thing. And the other thing is, he actually had a character and a persona of kind of a wise ass. He could be a little bit of a brat.
He's cheeky,
but he can also play like sincerity that he gets to show off in this movie. And I think that's why after this he becomes like the biggest fucking child actor of like the 90s easily. Because what is it? Up until like Pagemaster, every movie ever made a load of money, and then he basically retired after like 94, 5.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, I mean, don't quote me on that. I haven't looked up Macaulay Culkin's acting career since the masterpiece of Pagemaster, but
I mean, you're forgetting Richie Rich.
It came out the same year.
Did it?
Yeah, same year.
Oh, wow. That's a big year.
as a page master. Yeah. 94, I think. But I digress. But that Christmas morning, he's so depressed. We get to see it on his face. It is sad. And then his mom comes through the door. And they're so happy. They're so overjoyed. They have been reunited. We finally have the two thematic elements of the movie coming together. Everyone's so excited. The two protagonists together. It's beautiful. It's happy. And he's like, where's the rest of the family? Oh, honey, they couldn't come. They're still in Paris. And then the rest of the family shows up not a minute later and being like, Kate, literally, you could have just slept in, catch the morning flight, and you would have been late by like 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
But she wouldn't have had the planes, trains, and automobiles experience.
I've seen Plane, Trains, and Automobiles only once.
You're welcome.
That movie is a masterpiece. It was a great...
It took me forever to finally get you to cave and watch it.
It wasn't even a cave and watch. I just couldn't find it anywhere. But I did watch it on the plane.
Lies and slander. I would have let you borrow my DVD.
I watched it on the plane ride home from seeing some family. Mm-hmm. Great plane movie. I'd imagine to also be a pretty good trains and automobile movie. But
you'd think.
We'll see. But yeah, it's a big, nice, emotionally resonant moment. It's a real feel-good, fuzzy moment. And what do we see out the window? What's the last thing Kevin sees out the window?
Old man Marley hugging his son, hugging his daughter-in-law, and ultimately hugging his granddaughter as it freshly snows on a Christmas morning.
The old man Marley's family is reunited. The world is at peace.
Tears are in his eyes.
It's a beautiful moment. And then we hear Buzz yell, Kevin, what the fuck did you do to my room? Cut to black. End of movie.
Which, Buzz deserved it.
Buzz deserved it, but Kevin destroyed his room. He tore down all those shelves. He released his tarantula. He stole his Playboys.
He didn't intentionally release the tarantula. Once the shelves broke, the cage, toppled over. So, things happen. But yeah, he sees the Playboy. One of my favorite scenes is in the movie when he's going through the chest and he's, Buzz, your girlfriend, woof. I mean, that used to kill me as a kid. And then finding out that was like the art director's son that they put like a wig on because they didn't want to shame some girl. So they're like, well, let's just make this boy, really ugly looking so we could turn it into a meme for this movie.
Great bit.
But yeah, I love this movie.
Home Alone's a really good movie. It's a movie that I, again, had no memory of. This movie exists.
That's so weird.
It had cultural osmosis. Like, I remember all the parodies and all, like, the gags around the movie, but I had not remembered the story of it. And it was always a thing that it kind of confused me why it was considered up there with, like, Christmas Carol or Christmas Story or It's a Wonderful Life. Like, why is Home Alone up in the canon of Christmas classics, the untouchable Christmas classics, right? Because those are movies that exist, right? They're movies that are based around Christmas where if it hits the right mark, it will be played in perpetuity till the end of time. And this movie, I couldn't figure out why it was so resonant. And then I watched it, and I fucking figured it out. It's because the movie is more than a kid's comedy. It's a family movie where it really means it. It's a movie about family. It's a movie about, family's important. Yeah, they get on your nerves. Yeah, your family can be mean to you, but at the end of the day, they're your family, kid. It's gonna be fine. They're gonna love you.
And even the flip side, where we don't see Kevin's family that much, but you start to see them soften towards him, where the sisters are worried about him. And,
even Buzz is a little worried about him.
A little bit. But, it takes one of the sisters to be like, really, you're not worried about your 8-year-old younger brother that can't tie his shoes. You're not worried that he's home by himself with no one to fend for him, no one to talk to.
Well, look, I'm going to tell you why he's totally safe. 1, I'm not that lucky. 2, B, we have fire detectors. And 3, we live on the most boring street in the most boring city in all the boring world.
And then you cut to,
the Wet Bandits?
The Wet Bandits at OK Plumbing.
OK Plumbing. But yeah, like the movie is emotionally resonant. We see the family soften to him. We see Kevin soften to them. And it's a thing where I get it. I get why this movie was so loved and beloved because it gets the family vibe. And it makes sense why this movie probably had a bunch of copycats after it.
Yeah.
And why this franchise refuses to fucking die, even though...
We're good with just the first two.
Pretty much.
That's all we need.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, everything after the first... Because I think there's, like... Is there 5 or 6 of these?
When I went on Disney Plus last night, there was one that I hadn't seen before, the little poster, but I don't remember if it was 6.
Because I know there's, like, 4 that were made in the 90s up to early 2000s, something like that. Like, 2001 or 2, I think. And then there's, like, 2 Netflix ones. There's, like, 1 or 2 Netflix ones. But I do not understand why... Well, I guess I just went by why we have so many of these. Oh, you're looking it up? How much do we got?
It looks like 6.
6 of these. And Macaulay Culkin's in, like, the first 2, and he's in, like, the last one as an adult.
Is he?
I think so. I think that's a thing. But I digress. It is astounding to me that these... that how popular this movie is, that it is one of those, like we said, lightning in a bottle kind of things. Perfect time, perfect cast, perfect crew. It's also the thing where the script is, I wouldn't even call the script good. It's kind of like accidentally perfect, because John Hughes wrote it in like a weekend.
He wrote it, and then I think Christopher Columbus said that it was his favorite script he ever read or directed. I think it was his favorite script he ever read. But a lot of things happened in this movie that were lightning in a bottle. I know you hate the phrase, but I think you secretly love it.
It comes up.
Because, that's right. You had all these people that just needed to be here and were able to. There was an original composer that was attached to the project before John Williams.
Yes.
When I was doing my research, I couldn't find the name of that original composer. I don't know why he dropped out of the film. And people there were telling Chris Columbus, you should, John Williams would kind of slap if he worked on this. And they're like,
oh, yeah, John Williams.
John Williams, he's totally going to come work on our project.
Of course he will. Oh, this little $18 million thing. The fucker does Star Wars. He does indie. Jaws. He ain't going to show up for our shit. Come on now.
And then they approached him on, and he's like, oh, yeah, I'd love to do it. He saw, I guess, like, test footage of the movie. And he was like, oh, yeah, I would love to score this. And he was just like, okay. And I guess when they were doing, like, the principal, like, casting, Chris Columbus was like a huge fan of Joe Pesci, and he was like,
yeah, who's not a huge fan of Joe Pesci?
I know, right? And he was just like, how are that's like my dream list of actors to work with. And Joe Pesci was like, no, I'd be down.
Well, because Joe Pesci, I think he even said, he's like, I've never done a kids movie. I would love to do a movie I could show my family, and
more comedy, less drama.
Yeah, because Joe Pesci, one of Joe Pesci's greatest movies. This man was in Goodfellas, Raging Bull. One of his greatest films is My Cousin Vinny, which is a straight comedy.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think Joe Pesci's one of the funniest sons of bitches like ever in film. And it's like, can we just have him do more like shtick? Can we have him do more shtick?
I don't know if it's lost footage. I read it somewhere that Chris Columbus kind of as a joke told Joe Pesci during like the filming, hey, could we do your bit from Goodfellas that, you find me funny? We have this, scene where it's like they're questioning him and he does the, oh, you think I'm a clown? You do that. And he did it on set. And I don't know if it just got lost over time, if it exists somewhere else.
That's weird because this is the Goodfellas year. Because Goodfellas comes out
in 90.
In 90. And, I guess, because I guess that might have worked out if it came out in the beginning of the year, and Home Alone comes out in like November. So I guess that might work out. But again, this is like a stacked fucking year for movies because we get Goodfellas, we get Dances with Wolves, Home Alone, Godfather Part 3. But here's the thing: this movie was nominated for 2 Oscars.
I could believe it.
It's because John Williams.
Of course.
John Williams does your movies. He's going to get an Oscar nom. It's kind of his thing. It's for score and best original song.
Somewhere in My Memories.
Somewhere in My Memories, yeah. But he loses out because it's the Dances with Wolves year.
Yeah.
It does that. But yeah, this movie, very strong pedigree.
They tried to get De Niro to be in this movie.
Who would he have? Oh, would he have played like Marv? Or, Pesci and De Niro as the Wet Bandits. Stern's so good though.
Stern is amazing, but De Niro can do comedy too. So it's like it could have worked, but
No,
I
Stern is
love.
perfect.
I know, that's why it's like they're the perfect odd couple in this movie.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like you're saying, it's lightning in a bottle. It's probably why like all the sequels to this do significantly less well.
Yeah.
I think Home Alone 2 was the last one that made in this like enormously $1 million, multi-million dollar, $100 million like box office, and the rest of them degraded into lower returns or direct to video.
Home Alone was so successful that 20th Century Fox had to push back the wide release of Edward Scissorhands because they didn't want Edward Scissorhands to get steamrolled by Home Alone.
It doesn't surprise me.
I mean, it like released here in like LA in December of 90, but worldwide it was like March and like April because it was just Home Alone was just, punch after punch.
Home Alone was the #1 film in America for 12 consecutive weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That leads it from November all the way through like December, January. This movie was a titan. Again, it makes $477 million at the box office. This came out at a time where if a movie did well, they let that fucker run and run and run.
And it did.
It ran so hard. But yeah, I mean, it ran so hard, it was the favorite film of a U.S. president. You're thinking of which one would call this his favorite film, aren't you?
Reagan?
No. Reagan's favorite film was It's a Wonderful Life. Well,
I can believe that.
Yeah, it's the guy.
Is it a Bush?
No, it's not a Bush.
Who is it?
Gerald Ford. The Homer Simpson of presidents.
Jerry Ford was a Home Alone fan?
Yes,
Wow.
They asked Gerald Ford what his favorite movie was, and he said Home Alone. People are convinced he said it because it was the first movie that came to his mind because he probably didn't watch a lot of movies, but I like to think that Gerald Ford, the Homer Simpsons of presidents, the man who fell ass backwards into the vice presidency and the presidency. No, fun fact, Gerald Ford is the only U.S. president to never have a vote cast in his name for anything. He was appointed Speaker of the House. He was appointed to be the vice president, and because Nixon basically quit, he got appointed to be the president. That man never won a single election, became president. He's the Homer Simpson of presidencies. And his favorite movie was Home Alone.
Well, the more you know.
The more you know. This is the weird shit I find in my research.
Somewhere in your memory.
Somewhere in my memory. I see that town. Silent Hill. But yeah, so Home Alone. It's a fucking great movie. I am glad I gave it another rewatch after so very long. But
yeah, because I mean, we watched it, I think, in our first year of the podcast. We did a triple feature.
That's
with,
right.
Our friend David. We did Home Alone, A Christmas Story, and Scrooged. So you have seen it.
No, we did Christmas Vacation.
We didn't do a Christmas Vacation. We did A Christmas Story.
No, we did Christmas Vacation. I will put money that we did Christmas Vacation because I love me some National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
How much money are you putting down?
I don't want to put down a lot of money, but I'm feeling it's.
Come on, big spender.
I'll put $1. $1. $1.
$1, cheapskate.
Absolutely, I'm a cheapskate.
Come on, make it interesting.
But yeah,
I've got a lot of episodes.
we have well over 200 episodes. Go watch them all. Maybe not the first year. They're kind of rough.
Yeah, the first year is a little rocky.
But yes, Home Alone, it's a movie that is definitely an old school classic.
It is an old school classic.
I like how it took her so long to find that goddamn episode. All right.
It doesn't even say it in the description.
You write the descriptions.
I know. This was past me.
Haha. All right.
I was a fool. It was our 13th episode on this podcast.
Jesus Christ.
Ooh, I had to go back to the beginning.
But we digress.
Yes.
Any final thoughts on Home Alone?
I love Home Alone. Home Alone. I try to save it for once a year for obvious reasons because, Christmas. But it's the most Christmassy movie to me. It makes me feel like I'm a kid again.
I can see that. This is definitely a movie that exists in a very cloudy, golden place in my childhood. Like, watching it again definitely was like, oh, this reminds me of, like, Christmas Eve at Grandma's house, like, fucking cookies in the morning. Like,
Being excited for, presents on Christmas Day.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those, like...
Mom dressing me up in, Christmas clothes.
No, didn't have that. We weren't rich enough to have Christmas clothes.
Sure.
But really great Christmas movie. I'm glad we are able to release this before Christmas Day.
Yes.
But
We're gonna try.
we're gonna try. But yeah, that is Home Alone. So what is gonna be released next? It's either gonna be Breaking Dawn double feature or
It should be-
Year in Review.
No, it should be the Breaking Dawn double feature. It'll be coming out this same week. Yeah, so be prepared. This is a stacked week for the film club, Our bonus episode, Christmas Day, and then Breaking Dawn Part 1 and Part 2. A lot going on.
But if you wanted to follow or watch any more of our episodes or listen to any more of our episodes, where can they go?
Well, if you want to listen to us other than YouTube, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or if you want to follow us on Instagram, we are at the handle at the Film Club, where we post upcoming episodes, guest episodes, random adventures we go on, bonus adventures that we go on, and yeah.
And with that,
Have a Merry Christmas.
I'm going to keep that in. Have a Merry Christmas,
Please
everybody.
don't keep that in.
All right. Have a good week, everybody.